Have you ever bought a car thinking it's going to outlive your dog and it died before your first oil change? Well, that's an exaggeration. But oh boy, whether you believe it or not, there are actually Japanese cars that don't exactly fall short of the strict standard of Japanese reliability. Hello everyone, this is Sully from CarlandTV. It's time to hop in the front seat because today we're taking a closer look at the Japanese cars that surprisingly don't go the distance, as well as those that keep running strong no matter what you throw at them. Before I start, I would really appreciate it if you would push those buttons below. The subscribe button, the notification bell, all of them. This is not necessary, but those little clicks help a brother out. Plus, it pushes me to give you more valuable car-related content on your screen. Now buckle up and let's get back to the video. Nissan Juke 2011 to 2017. Now I know Nissan has a solid track record with workhorses like the Frontier and the Altima. But what about the 2011 to 2017 Nissan Juke? That's a different story. On paper, it looked like a sporty little crossover with its turbocharged 1.6-liter MR16 DDT engine. But under the hood, it was a ticking time bomb. The real problem wasn't just the engine. It was the Jatco CVT7 continuously variable transmission paired with it. That thing is notorious for early failure, often before even hitting 50,000 miles. Owners complained of whining noises, jerky shifting, and in many cases, total transmission failure. Nissan offered a 5-year or 60,000-mile warranty, but plenty of folks found themselves out of luck just after that window closed. With the CVT being sealed and virtually non-serviceable, replacing it costs upwards of $4,000, which is almost half the value of the car itself by then. Add to that cooling system issues cheap interior plastics that don't hold up and awkward visibility. And it's no wonder the Juke started racking up a rough reputation. It's got personality, sure, but long-term durability? Not so much. Now, if you're thinking, maybe it was just a fluke with the Juke, wait till you hear what happened with Mazda's turbocharged CX7. Mazda CX7, 2007 to 2012. You know I wanted to like the Mazda CX7. Back in the day, I took one for a spin, thinking I was getting a sporty crossover with some zoom attitude. But what I got was a maintenance headache wrapped in a slick body. The 2.3-liter MZR DZ turbocharged engine under the hood had guts sure, but it came with a hidden timer. That thing cooked itself alive if you weren't religious about oil changes. The turbo's oil seals would start leaking, and once oil hit the intercooler or exhaust boom, smoke would show. Then there's the VVT actuator that rattled like a bad timing chain which, surprise, was usually on its way out too. And yeah, the timing chain would stretch if oil got gunked up, which happened a lot. Mazda built this on the Ford C1 platform, and the interior felt like it too. Hard plastics, cheap trim, and wear and tear way too early. The ride quality wasn't bad, I'll give it that. But what's the point? If you're spending more time under the hood than behind the wheel, I've seen these things give out around 40,000 sometimes sooner if driven hard. Now, if you think that's bad, let's talk about a Subaru that couldn't handle its own powertrain. Subaru WRX, early CVT models, 2015 to 2017. When Subaru dropped the WRX with a CVT in 2015, I was curious and skeptical. I got behind the wheel of one of those early models thinking it might be a practical twist on a rally-bred icon. But man, that Lineartronic CVT paired with the FA20DIT 2-liter turbocharged flat 4 just didn't hold up. The engine pushed out a healthy 268 horsepower, but the CVT couldn't take the heat literally. Fluid temps would spike fast under spirited driving, and with no factory cooler in early builds, you were rolling the dice every time you floored it. The metal pushbelt CVT had internal bearings that wore down prematurely, especially if the car was driven hard or had even minor fluid contamination. Owners reported shuddering, slipping, and full transmission failures, many before hitting 50,000 miles. Subaru knew it too, as extended CVT warranties came not long after. You'd expect better from a 26C sports sedan built on all-wheel drive heritage. But between CVT heat-soaked, laggy throttle response and the long-term risk, it was more frustrating than fun. Next up is something that many wouldn't believe. Yeah, Toyota has its own share of failures, too. Supposedly, this next car should have been boringly reliable, but turned out to be an oil-burning little surprise. Toyota Matrix, 2009 and up models with 2.4-liter engines. Now, as I've said, this one's a bit of a shocker, because when you hear Toyota Matrix, you probably think of bulletproof reliability, right? However, the 2009 and up models equipped with the 2.4-liter 2AZFE engine tell a different story. I had a buddy who bought one brand new thinking he was set for the next 200,000 miles. By 40,000 miles or so, he was topping off oil like it was windshield washer fluid. The culprit was its poor piston ring design and cylinder wall scoring, which are both known issues with the 2AZFE. That engine, which also saw duty in the Camry and RAV4, had a bad habit of guzzling oil, sometimes a quart every 1,000 miles or less. Toyota even issued a limited service campaign, but it only covered certain VINs and had a time mileage cap. Miss it, and you were stuck footing a bill that could run up to $3,000 to fix a car that might have only cost 17 euro or new. The rest of the car was decent 5-speed auto or manual McPherson Strut's plastic-heavy interior. But it didn't matter when your engine was eating itself alive. If that's not enough of a letdown, wait until we talk about a Mitsubishi that feels like it's falling apart even when it's brand new. Mitsubishi Mirage, 2014 to 2017. Driving the Mitsubishi Mirage, specifically, its 2014 to 2017 models honestly felt like stepping into a disposable appliance. It was marketed as a budget-friendly subcompact, and with a sticker price starting under $13,000, it sure was cheap, but in every sense of the word. Under the hood sat a tiny 1.2-liter 3-cylinder engine that made just 74 horsepower paired to a CVT that whined louder than it worked. The drivetrain wasn't the only weak link. The suspension components were wafer-thin, with control arms, bushings, and struts prone to early failure, especially on rough roads. I've seen Mirages rattle, clunk, and sag before they even hit 50,000 miles. The interior plastics were brittle. The door seals let in wind noise like an open window, and the HVX knobs felt like they came from a dollar store bin. Paint faded fast, weather stripping peeled, and even seat foam collapsed under average weight. The car weighed barely 2,000 pounds, and yeah, it sipped fuel, but it felt like it could blow away in a strong breeze. If you treated it gently and barely drove it, maybe it held up. But real-world use? Not so much. But to balance things out, let me switch gears, literally, to Japanese cars that just refuse to quit. Of course, I want to start with the legendary Toyota Land Cruiser. Toyota Land Cruiser, any year really. Now let's be clear, you won't find a Toyota Land Cruiser on any honest list of vehicles that fail before 50,000 miles. In fact, it's the exact opposite. This thing is the poster child for longevity. I've seen 90s-era 80 series models still crawling through trails, with over 300,000 miles on the clock and not even flinching. Whether it's the older inline-six 1FZ FE, the bulletproof 4.7-liter 2UZ FE V8 in the 100 series, or the later 5.7-liter 3UR FE in the 200 series, these engines are built like tanks. Toyota designed them with thick cast-iron blocks, forged internals, overbuilt cooling systems, and simple serviceable components. The body-on-frame construction full-time four-wheel drive with locking center diffs and optional hydraulic KDSS suspension make it just as comfortable towing rock crawling or cruising down the highway. Even the interiors, which include leather wood grain and soft-touch panels, age slower than most luxury SUVs. Sure, you're looking at $85,000 or higher for the newer ones, but they're worth every penny when you consider what they survive. Oil change is basic maintenance, and these things just keep going. Next up is the Honda Accord, a sedan that quietly racks up miles like it's clocking into work every day. Honda Accord 2003 to 2007. If there's one car that earned its stripes in the High Mileage Hall of Fame, it's the 2003 to 2007 Honda Accord with a 2.4-liter K24 engine. I've personally seen these things cross 300,000 miles with nothing but regular oil changes and a few timing chain services. That K2404 engine is a naturally aspirated inline-4 with a cast aluminum block forged crankshaft and chain-driven cams. No timing belt to worry about. It's paired with either a slick-shifting 5-speed manual or a 5-speed automatic, which held up much better on the 4 cylinders than on the V6 models. With roughly 160 horsepower and real-world MPG in the high 20s, it was efficient and durable without being boring. Suspension parts, McPherson struts up front and multi-link rear, lasted a good long while if you stayed out of potholes. The interior had soft-touch dash materials, durable cloth, or leather seats and switchgear that aged gracefully. New it cost around $20,000 to $26,000 depending on trim, but it drove and held together like something way more expensive. If you want a car that'll start every morning, eat up highway miles, and not nickel and dime you to death, this generation Accord delivers. To be fair, even its newer generations have kick-ass reliability. Now, the last unit that I will introduce here is also a product of Toyota. And trust me, when it comes to reliability, almost no car in existence can match its reputation. Toyota Corolla 2003 to 2013. I've driven more Corollas than I can count, and the 2003 to 2013 generation, that's Toyota at its most practical, most dependable best. I had an Euro 6 model with the 1.8L 1ZZ FE engine, and I swear it felt like the thing ran better the more miles I put on it. That engine, aluminum block cast iron liners, chain-driven cams, was built to take a beating. It wasn't flashy pushing just around 130 horsepower, but paired with that bulletproof A245E 4-speed automatic, it felt like it could run forever. My 2013 Corolla had over 280,000 on the clock before it gave up. But during that time, it still idled, smoothly shifted clean, and didn't burn a drop of oil. These cars were light, usually under 2,700 pounds, and that meant less wear on brakes, tires, and suspension. Maintenance was dirt cheap, oil filters and maybe a water pump if you kept it long enough. Interior-wise, the plastics were basic, but tough, and even the fabric seats held up to years of commuting abuse. For a brand new price hovering between $23,000 and $29,000, you were basically buying peace of mind. It's not a thrill ride, but if you want something that'll survive your teenage years, college days, and your first real job, the Corolla's got your back. Corolla's got your back. Corolla's